Welcome into the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Today's show is an absolute joy and pleasure, folks. Today I'm going to reintroduce you to an old friend. Today we're going to talk a little bit about her gifts, about her history, and we're going to talk about a brand new system that she has for you. I know a lot of you in the audience go to a psychic or a medium because you want to talk to somebody on the other side, because you've got someone on the other side that you miss dearly, that you'd like to talk to one last time. And a lot of you say, you know, I wish I could see something coming around the corner. I wish I knew when money was coming to me. I wish that I could see if I had a job opportunity coming, or I wish I could see trouble coming my way. Well, if I could tell you that our guest today, Jodi Livon, has a brand new system that could help you develop that gift, well, let's just say you're going to be more fortunate in the future. We'll get to that here in the program. Let me tell you a little bit about Jodi before we bring her on here. She's been working as a psychic medium professionally since she was a teen in the 1980s. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2021, survived that nightmare due to, in part, her intuition, which we'll talk about here today. She's now back in full force, and as we'll see now, she's had some great media experience. She has a new virtual series called The Language of the Soul, and she looks forward to being on this extraordinary podcast today. She's a captivating speaker, author, psychic medium, over 40 years of experience. She's a dynamic national and local television and radio personality. I'll tell you what, if you're here locally in the Twin Cities, you've seen her on TwinCitieslive, and you absolutely love seeing her on that program. She's been on Coast to Coast AM and right here on Darkness Radio. She's a resident psychic right there on that program, TwinCitieslive. She's been in seasons 1 and 2 on the Travel Channel and Discovery Plus's Fright Club with Jack Osborne and the Ghost Brothers. She's read national celebrities on live TV and conducted ghost investigations at nationally recognized places like First Avenue since 2010. And she's also been a frequent guest on Jim Harold's famed paranormal podcast. Jim has this to say about Jodi. He says, when you've spoken to as many psychics as I have, you get your own sixth sense about those who have the gift. Jodi Livon is one of the most sincere spirit mediums I've had the opportunity to get to know. She's a good soul and one I trust to do my own personal readings. I'll tell you what, I second that as well. Let's bring in, once again, to Darkness Radio, Jodi Livon. Hi, Jodi. How you doing?
I'm good. It's so nice to see you and to be on Darkness Radio. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you back. It's wonderful to see you once again. You know, I want to recap for people who we haven't spent one-on-one time in a little while, but I want to recap for new listeners, because you in podcasting you kind of cycle through listeners and viewers, and they come back and you get new ones that come in. So there may be some people in our audience that may not be familiar with you. Shame on you if they aren't. Let's recap a little bit about how you discovered your gifts and as a teenager, and tell me a little bit about how you first discovered you were psychic.
So things that were very strange that I didn't recognize as strange started to happen to me. I remember them when I was as young as like 3 years old. So I remember looking in the mirror and my hair standing up on its own.
Yeah.
I remember things disappearing, which, can happen to any child, but I was very aware of ghosts. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know the name. I could just feel other energy in the room all of the time. And there was no one to really talk about it with, nor could I put it into words until I got older. And I come from a very conservative family, and that was just not something anybody spoke about. It was, I don't want to say it was shunned, it was ignored. Mm-hmm. I was ignored when I spoke about it. The older I get, the more I realized either I would have my intuition or it would have me. And I started to realize what it was, that I was a medium, and that I needed to do something with boundaries, because either I would have my intuition or it would have me. And I meant that literally. Like, I felt crazy. At 18, I was in my own apartment on Grand Avenue in 26 in Minneapolis. At the time, it wasn't, like the best area for a person to be walking around at night.
Yeah.
It was my home and I loved it. And I remember I made the closet into my bedroom because it was like a studio, basement apartment. And I remember walking through the apartment. All of a sudden I was on the ceiling. Literally, I was on the ceiling. And I knew weird things were happening before that because the phone would ring and there'd be nobody there or there'd be a weird laughter. But I couldn't get back in my body. I was used to being out of my body. And I noticed a dead, drunk person walking through my little living room in my body.
What?
So, and I couldn't get back in. And so I was raised to never swear, ever. Boy, did I open up my mouth. Oh, I swore. I said, get with the F word out of my body. And boom, I was right back in my body. So I thought, okay, this is crazy, but not. And I need to understand more of this. And then I'd see vortexes in that room. And I prayed. I pray all the time, actually. And I prayed. I said, I can't do this, God. I mean, I didn't know what a vortex was. It just looked like almost like a watery opening in the room filled with air and water. That's all I can explain it. And I felt like it was going to suck me in. So I prayed about that and it went away. And that never happened, but the dead people thing happened all the time.
Wow.
So I just started to learn about it and nobody was teaching boundaries. So as a young person, I said, I'm going to learn boundaries. I'm going to learn to get this energy to stop encroaching on my energy because I'm a trance medium, which means dead, people on the other side, spirits, ghosts can get inside of me and move my body if I don't take control. So I learned the term using you for your body really was a different term, but it was the same thing, like using me. So I learned boundaries and I thought I'm teaching them and I've been teaching them my entire adult life and childhood. And I like to help people understand what their intuition is about in a way that will help them and not to use on anyone else. How's that?
That's good. So let me ask you this, Jodi. So how do you keep someone from moving you out of your body, and how do you stand your ground? I mean, that seems like a big mission. I'll put it that way.
It is melding, because that's what it feels like, is something that a lot of people do. It's an empathic thing, but as a medium, that means the spirit gets in me. So I have to know. I always say where my space begins and ends. I have to know how I feel all the time. And if all of a sudden I feel differently, then I know someone's in my body. Sorry, I have to cough. I have a little bit of lung issues from all the surgeries I've had.
That's just fine.
So, that's how I do it, is I just concentrate on my own energy. I do a lot of prayer and I do a lot of grounding exercises so I can stay in my body. That's the best way I can do it. It's hard for me to be around people in large groups or even small groups for really for extended periods of time, but I can absolutely do it in, for several hours and it's not a problem. I enjoy it. And then I need to be alone to clear my energy because I'm feeling what other people feel too. Like live people. I'm feeling what they feel. And it's their story, and I don't want to step into their story because I can't change it.
Yeah.
So I always say, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. Decent boundaries are not doors. What's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. And that helps me. That and along with other affirmations. So I think there are a lot of people like me out there. There are a lot of people who are mediums that don't know it. There are a lot of people who are mediumistic, don't want to do it for a living, but want to understand it. There are so many, everybody's intuitive. So really and also everybody is kind of unhappy in some ways at some point. Okay. And I've been doing readings for a long time. Nobody seems to realize that everybody feels alone sometimes. And we're doing that together. So in that way, we're not alone. And also we're all connected to one light. We are a spark from this one beautiful spark of sparks. So we are all connected and that helps. So raising your vibration, being on a higher level of understanding has made me feel less lonely and my clients feel less lonely, more connected, more intuitive. So it's a mixed bag, really, being this sensitive. I'd be a big fibber if I didn't say it's caused problems. Yeah. It hasn't caused problems because it's caused problems. Yeah. But I know I signed up for it and I love it and I wouldn't have it any other way. So how's that?
Pretty good. You've got me on a different line of thinking now. I didn't think I was going to go this way today, but I have to ask the question now that we're here. That's this. You talk about that boundary and needing to be, you can be in a crowd for a couple of hours, maybe, if that, but then you need your space. You need to be away. That brings me to a certain, I don't want to say grouping of people, that makes me sound insensitive, but a certain subset of people who are introverted, or people who may be, I don't want to say on the spectrum, but maybe have a skosh of autism or even be autistic. Are they more sensitive? Are they more psychic? Because it seems like they need that, they tend to be more aware in a way of, what's a good way of putting it?
I get that. They're more sensitive in general.
Yes, they're more sensitive in general, but at the same time, it seems like they're more sensitive to, if you're one-on-one with them, like they get you. They really do get you, and they get you quicker than most people would get you. But at the same time, they can't take mass crowds, and they do need that. They do need that barrier, that buffer. It's like, too much. It's overwhelming. I got to get away. Is there more of a gift there with people who may be introverted or on the spectrum?
So let's take the on the spectrum piece. And I'm not a professional that can address that, people on the spectrum, but what I can say is we have friends and family that are on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And when I meld with them, when I'm with them, I can feel exactly what you're saying. A lot of them are very dialed in, not everyone, of course, but they seem to be dialed in and sensitive to a lot of things, and specifically a few things. One of them, in this case, these cases, to how you feel, mm-hmm. because it's loud to them. So I feel like, just like when somebody can't see, their hearing is more exaggerated. They can hear things even more. Yeah. I feel like when we have any kind of ability that is morphed into something else, that's what happens, is all of our other senses become more. Okay. So I would say, yes, a lot of people with that with autism or on the spectrum, and we're all kind of on the spectrum. Yeah. Yes, I would say that they have more insight. They can zoom into their people better than the average person. And anybody who's sensitive, I always say, if you've ever been called overly sensitive, that was my name when I was a child, mm-hmm. that Mazik, which means little devil, but I think they meant little angel. When people are really sensitive, they're sensitive to everything. Yeah. And you have more of a life when you have boundaries, when you understand that just because you pick up on something doesn't mean it's yours. Like you can let stuff go. That isn't for you. You can't fix that. So it's not for you. You just have to know what's appropriate and what's not. And that is one of the reasons I've always hesitated to teach people to do psychic readings, because I think the temptation to use it is great for all of us. I feel like I've had many past lives where I've done great work and I've done really bad work. Really? And this is a life where I'm doing really good work, and it tastes real. People say, do you gamble? Do you like my husband's a financial planner. Mm-hmm. And the only money I use my insight with, just like which feels better in my gut, and that's all I do, is mine. I don't do that with anyone. Like, that is not what it's for. To me, that's not what it's for. It is to help enhance your life. It can be one of your best friends, and it can help you understand who's going to be a good date, who's not, if you're fearful, what you do with it. And it helps you understand you have to deal with your junk. So you want to hear something really weird, Tim? Yeah. Am I talking too much?
No, you're not. It's very interesting. Go ahead. I want to hear this interesting thing. Yes.
So I'm so visual. Mm-hmm. Your intuition comes through your five senses. So whatever, like if you have an exaggerated sense of smell, your insights are going to come through that too. I'm very visual, and I feel things really big. See, now I start talking about this and your grandma jumped in my head.
Okay, really?
Okay, so I'm back. Okay, so I see this little wagon behind people that they don't know they have. Okay. Call it a little red wagon. Okay. And in that wagon is all their stuff, emotional stuff they haven't dealt with. Mm-hmm. That they don't know they're constantly responding to. but everyone around them knows it. Because when you when you have someone in your life that you work with or that you're related to or that you live with, you know their stuff. And when you start dealing with what's in your little wagon, you become more insightful. That means doing the spiritual and emotional work you need to do to clear out that stuff. And then more stuff can come in your little wagon. You can think you're done and you're not. Or the other way to look at it is you want your baggage to be carry on and not check in.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Wow. Okay. See, I'm learning so much stuff here, Jodi. That's amazing. That's wonderful. I think I've learned more with you in the 15 minutes that we've sat here than I've learned from every other psychic medium I've ever had on the show.
Oh, that's really sweet of you to say. You've had some really good people on your show. And what's so interesting is it's an interpretation. So if another medium was sitting in the same room with you, we would both pick up on some similar things, but we would see it differently because it comes through the lens of our own eye. We have to consider our little wagon, all of that, and all of our life experiences. And that's what makes it so much fun. And I think there are amazing mediums all over the world. Minnesota, we got some great psychics and mediums.
Yeah, very much so. Okay, so Minnesota, hotbed for hockey players, for psychics, we have a lot of talented people around here. Yeah, same thing, right, yeah. Put on pads and knock people around, I guess. That's what the whole thing is about in this state. I don't know what that has to do with anything.
Not for a medium. Medium helps you understand why you got knocked around and how to not get knocked around.
True. Okay, yeah. All right.
That's what my work is anyway.
That's true. With that being said, let me talk, you were talking about motivations for the psychic medium, and you touched on something here, which was kind of interesting. I kind of want to go down this road for a minute, which is doing good work and maybe doing not so good work. Because a lot of times we hear from most psychic mediums that come into media and they want to talk about it. They say, oh, no, it's all love and light. We all do good work. This is the first time I've ever heard one bring up, well, maybe not so good work. Is it not all love and light? Or
No, because life isn't all love and light. There's that yin and that yang. And you can, there are also chiropractors and doctors and people who clean your carpet that do amazing job. And then there are some that just don't do a great job. So just because you can dip in or kind of tune into that universal bank of energy doesn't mean you're perfect. But the work is to be as clean and clear as you can be. That is how I see it. I don't know that that's how all people see it. And you have to remember some of these people that are not doing great work that might be saying, I see something, but you have to give me another $15 for me to tell you what it is when you're doing a reading with them. They're doing their best. That's the best they can do.
Yeah.
You just want to find somebody who's better than that. No offense, but you want to know the price of that reading before you go in, and that's just the solid kind of reading. You want to feel good about who you're sitting in front of.
Yeah.
You want to trust that they are going to bring you information that's going to help you because you're so vulnerable when you get a reading. You're so vulnerable. You want somebody that can hold your heart in their hand for a moment and you feel comforted and loved. And that's what I love about it. That's why I love doing readings, and I'm tiptoeing back into doing more readings again. And I haven't said that, but I am. So there are readings available on my brand new website.
There you go.
It's not going to be very many a month, but I'm going to do it. It can be exhausting, Tim, to do readings can be very exhausting. Group readings are not so exhausting. And also I had like a 6-month waiting list, and I realized I wanted to reach more people. So that's why I'm doing more of the virtual gallery style readings, or I'm starting to.
Okay. Well, and that's understandable. I know people love the personal one-on-one readings because they feel like they glean more from it. But it's also, like you said, there's more of an energy exchange there. And people don't realize how exhausting that can be. That's a lot of energy put out there for just a one-on-one. And
well, you feel it. So if I'm dealing with somebody whose child died, I'm feeling their grief.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. It's going through my body. And there are many mediums and psychics and healers that say there's a different way to do it. That is, I have done this for a long time. That is the way it works for me. Yeah. I can feel it. And so for years, I was not tired after reading, and I mean years. And it wasn't even the breast cancer that made me more tired. I did it through all of that. I just decided, because I listened to my intuition say, you're supposed to work with bigger groups of people. And I'm embarrassed to tell you that I ignored that for a while.
Yeah.
And
All
I
right.
didn't.
I want to talk you up for a minute, because you truly are a warrior. I want to talk this up for just a moment and talk about this part of your history. For quite a long time, I followed you on social media and followed your struggles. And they are struggles, because we go through, a lot of us go through medical issues. I've been through my share of medical issues and come through quite a bit, but I know you've gone through a lot more than I ever have. And if you would, I'd like you to tell our audience just what you've been through the last few years, because to me, it's remarkable. I mean, you've really been through it there, lady. You've been through the ringer and back again. And I think
Appreciate the acknowledgement. It's very sweet. And your amazing supportive comments on my Facebook page and on my social media, which I love social media, and thank God for social media, because it helped me a lot. I had a really bad feeling in the summer of 2021 that something was going to happen to me. And it was so bad, I told nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not a dream I had. It was during the day. I could see it and I could feel it. We're blessed to have a boat. And on that boat, I would feel it when I was so relaxed. I would feel it. And then I'd try to pray it out and I got more calm, but I realized something was coming for me and I didn't know what it was. And it looked like I was actually going to get killed by a woman.
Really?
So in a big crowd. So I just, like I said, I prayed. I did everything I could. I checked on my health. I did everything I could to kind of keep that at bay, knowing that it might probably happen. And I'm in my family, there's breast cancer, a lot of breast cancer. So I was on a high risk list, and I was going in for an MRI, and I had a terrible, worse than terrible feeling about it. And I remember walking up to sign in for the MRI. My husband was with me because I had to be on lorazepam to be in that little tube.
Yeah.
And my life flashed in front of me. My life. Like that saying is true. My life flashed in front of me. And it wasn't like just like that. It was like a long flash. During the flash, I turned to my husband and I said, my life's flashing in front of me. This cannot be good. And it wasn't. They found a little less than a pea-sized tumor. Can I say, and a ton of above my left nipple.
Yeah, you can say that. Sure.
And it was not, you couldn't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
It was through, thank God, I had that MRI,
Mm-hmm.
and it turned out to be triple positive breast cancer. And that wasn't even the worst of what happened. Thank God I have a wonderful oncology team, and they took it out and they took it out and they made a plan. And I knew I'm with Health, actually. I was with Piper at the beginning, and then which was great. And then I went to Health for my oncology team. I kept having that bad feeling. I had the surgery, and something I believe happened during that surgery, but neither here nor there. I got a life-threatening infection. I got a really bad infection that became life-threatening, and it was mismanaged. And I kept saying, I don't feel good, change antibiotics, and it wasn't happening. And I was begging them to, and this is going to sound gross, I had stuff like shooting out of me, like infection. You know, that thing that says, if your cut turns red, go to the ER.
Right, yeah.
So it was just being mismanaged, and it wasn't being mismanaged by a terrible doctor either, because I think doctors are amazing. I think the medical field is amazing. It was just being mismanaged. I had 4 surgeries in a month. Oh. So right before my 3rd surgery, they wanted me to wait 5 days to have the surgery because the surgeon was out of town. And I was incredibly weak. And I was with my sister, one of my sisters, who's not an in-your-face person.
Yep.
I'm more in-your-face, but I was very weak at this point. I'd had an infection for weeks. And I had already had 2 surgeries within those 2 weeks. And they said they wanted me to wait. And I looked at, the woman left the room. I threw a Kleenex across the room, and my sister looked at me like, oh my goodness. And I thought, oh my God, Cindy, I can do so much better than that. You know it. I insisted, when they came back in, they do surgery that day or the next day. They did the surgery. They messed up on something because they were supposed to do an additional part of the surgery that was in the report about the infection. I had to go back a day later and have surgery again. If I hadn't spoken up, the physician that actually did the surgery told my husband I was very close to getting sepsis and I was so weak I wouldn't have been able to fight it. Wow. So I really, like, people say this, and I mean, I've done that too. Said, oh, I almost died. I'm saying it with a smile, but I'm in hindsight, I did almost die. And I knew it. I could feel it. Yeah. I could feel my body dying. And I pressed and I pressed and I pressed because it wasn't just my body that had a bad feeling. My intuition was saying, act, 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 act. And I could barely hear it through my fear. Barely hear it, but I did.
Mm-hmm. No,
I did.
I know what you mean. I've said it before on the show. I had sepsis. I went to the hospital. I watched my blood pressure and blood sugar fall to almost nothing, and I saw the room go black. I mean, I was right there. So I know when you say,
and thank God you are here. And I didn't get sepsis, but I was really weak, and I didn't realize that I was still in danger. Mm-hmm. And, after that third surgery, an incredible infectious disease doctor saved my life also. Yep. Because he took over. Nobody would take over because they don't want to get in the way of another doctor. But he took over. They put a line in my arm. They put the right antibiotic in my arm. I had to stay home for a certain amount of time. Once the infection was gone, I was in chemo so fast. Mm-hmm. So fast. Chemo and Herceptin. And I'm very grateful for both. And I am here to say, people get breast cancer. People get cancer. It's horrible. We get awful things. We're on this planet. It's going to happen. You have to advocate for yourself. Yes. You just have to.
Yeah. 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 You're the only one who can do it.
Right. And the medical team typically is doing their very best, but they miss things too because they're human, and you have to advocate for yourself and ask questions. And that's why I say being diagnosed with breast cancer was awful. Awful. And I look different. I know I look different. People recognize me. But the worst part was the infection. And the worst part was also not being heard when I was saying something's wrong. I told my husband before the third surgery, I'm dying. I can feel it. I'm dying. So again, I'm very out there with my feelings, and they're very big. And I asked him later, I said, Jason, did you take me seriously when I said that? And he looked at me and turned kind of white, and he goes, I did.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, when someone tells you something like that, you have to take them as serious as a heart attack and right. Follow up with them and make sure that you're in their corner, right. The entire
way. I didn't think that I would be all through that. I was hoping that I would do certain things, like be with my kids, be with my husband, my friends, the rest of my family, and get my next book out and the series that we're going to talk about and do that. And I didn't know that I would be able to do it. And then after it was all over, I thought I'd have the energy I used to have. Mm-hmm. And believe me, I have a lot of energy. And I didn't get it all back. I'm still working on stuff. There's still small health things, but not cancer. And that's the other thing people don't talk about. Thank God I don't have cancer. Thank God, thank God, thank you, God. But there's more to it with your body. You're never back to where you were, or I don't think so. You're back to a different place. And people assuming that you should be back to where you were, not going to happen.
There is a new norm, but what's interesting is that you learn to work within that new norm.
Right. And I still have a lot of energy. I think I have more than the average person. Yeah. But I'm used to having more. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned that after I had my ablation, after I had my heart surgery, that it was a different kind of energy. Mm-hmm. I knew I was dying, but when I came back, it was a new, stronger type of energy. Mm-hmm. I just had to learn how to manage it.
You make more of a beeline, don't you, for what you really want?
Yes. Yeah.
Not so much in the people pleasing. I still do that sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
But not as much.
Right. You're more focused. Right. Something interesting, and I think with this, we'll take our break. You mentioned to me off air that when you were getting treatment, or when you were starting to recover, you realized that those four things that you had mentioned, the book, the intuition plan, these were the things now that you were putting in line, that you were setting your sights on, that you had said you had said to God, you get me there. These are the 4 things that I'm focused on family, on the book, on the intuition plan. These are the things that if you let me live, that I'm going to focus on. Can you tell our audience what it was that if you were given life, if you got through this thing, that these are the things you were going to focus on?
So time with my kids and my husband and my friends and the rest of my family. Get my next book out, which is all but done being edited and has had many go-rounds. And do my series, which I have been working on for a very, very, very long time, and really not be such a people pleaser. I don't even know what number I'm at with that. But to cut to the chase more. And when I launched this series, I can't even tell you, I felt like 100 pounds that was sitting on my heart left me. It was such a feeling of joy, no matter how the series does. And so far, I have to say it's doing really well. Incredible feeling of joy. Like that was what I was supposed to do. I knew I was supposed to do that. I leave it to the universe's hands. I take my talent, I get it out there, and it's up to the universe. And I feel happy.
There you go. Well, that talent is out there. The website is theintuitivecoach.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about how you can get your intuition out there as well. And Jodi is helping you with that. So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. And by the way, the book series is out there as well, Happy Medium book series. And I encourage you to get that book series as well. But when we come back, we're going to talk about this intuition system. We're going to talk about how you can sharpen your intuition and how you can get yourself on that path and how you can figure out how to make your life better through better intuition. So we're going to talk to Jodi Livon, our guest, about exactly how we do that when we come back next with Jodi Livon right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. My guest, Jodi Livon, psychic medium, the website, theintuitivecoach.com. This part of the program, we're going to talk with Jodi a little bit about how you can sharpen your intuition. She's got a brand new series out there via the internet that she's developed that will tell you how to get better control of your intuition. Or you know what? You could be dead as a stone. There's times I like to say I'm dead as a stone, although I don't think I am, but I tell myself that. So, Jodi, as you were recovering from cancer, you knew that you had this idea to take this system to the internet, to bring it to people, this workshop, for lack of a better term. I don't have a good term for it, but this series. Okay. To bring this series to people so that they wouldn't have to come see you in person, right? They could, all over the world, they could come to you via the World Wide Web, which it's a wonderful invention. I don't know. I hear it's a newfangled invention. Go figure. They can go on their tablets, they can go on their computers, their phones, and they can learn how to sharpen their intuition and get in touch with that part of themselves that I feel like everyone's lost because they are looking at their devices or they are out of touch with themselves. And we have kind of gotten out of touch with ourselves. Is that fair to say?
I feel like we lost touch with our connection with our higher self. We're still there, but not everyone can really feel that because you have to be grounded and silent to really feel it. And when you're using your brain to look at an electronic something, it's a different part of you. It's just a different part of you, but you always should have your soul connection. You always connect with that inner wisdom that you have. And everybody is psychic. Everybody's psychic. It's really awakening to what's there and understanding what's there. And I feel like there's so many wonderful approaches out there. And I was thinking, well, what's my approach and what's different about it? Because if it's not different, I'm not doing this. I'll find another way to do this. And it's awakening to it. And which is funny because that's the name of my first Happy Medium book, The Happy Medium, Awakening to Your Natural Intuition. And that's really what I launched off of. Like, look, intuition is the language of the soul. We all speak it. Everyone is intuitive. How aware are you of it? And how aware is your connection with the other side? And that's what the series is about, is to help you utilize it in your everyday life. Again, for people that get scared that it's using it on somebody, I don't mean that at all. It's not using it on anybody. And it's not really about reading the future. It's about understanding the signs, because nobody knows that for sure. Nobody knows the future for absolute, in my opinion, except for God. There are some amazing psychics out there, like the psychic twins, who read, I consider it reading signs. They see it differently, and that's okay, because I really trust them. They do a great job. I see it as reading the signs.
Okay.
Well, number one, it's against my religion to read the future. And also, I think it's bad for me, bad form. But I'm really good at reading the signs. If you can read the signs about something, let's say you're interviewing for a job and you're trying to decide how you should kind of approach the interview. Should it be like, yeah, I'm really confident and here I am? Or should it be like, I'm going to answer the questions. I'm going to be light up when they answer the questions, but I'm going to sit quietly in between. You use your gut, you use your intuition to figure out which one works better. If that's the job you want, it's a good chance you'll get that job if you listen to that inner voice. And there's lots of ways to do that. I like to think of the ways that I do it as very peanut butter and jelly, because I'm not fancy at all. And I have fun, and I'm really casual. These are videos. I have these videos that are sent out once a week. And I tried for so long, Tim, I'm not exaggerating when I say I have 115 takes, at least. I'm trying to do this series, and I threw them all out. I showed one of my friends from Twin Cities Live or from Hubbard Broadcasting, and they're like, just their face. And I'm like, yeah, I thought that too. Because I wanted it to be this polished, like Twin Cities Live is. I've been on that show for 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm used to really, like, they really know how to do a show. And I think I do a really fine job, a good job on those segments.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not Seth, and I'm not Drew from Twin Cities Live behind the camera. Like, I'm not those camera people. I'm that, and Elizabeth and Ben are right there. So I'm a little goofy in my videos. I get goofier, you can tell, as time goes on. Plus, I have some lung stuff that's gone on after all those surgeries and the chemo, and I think that's the medicines and stuff that did their job, but it also left my lungs a little different. So my voice is not perfect in it, but my message is. And I just have fun with it.
But people are paying for you, right? They're not
Right.
They're not wanting Seth from Twin Cities Live. I mean,
It's great, by the way. Great. But so each video has a concept, because it's called, this part of it's called Intuition Explained. It's a concept. I talk about what the concept is, and then I give examples, and then I say, try this and use this. So it's very much walk it into your life. So every single week, there's a new video with a concept that can build on the other ones, but it can be just looked at alone as well, plus an inspirational quote, because I really feel like affirmations and positive quotes have helped me so much along, like I said, with like meditation and prayer, calling your angels, doing all these things to get yourself more in line with your guides so you can feel things. Quotes can help you do that when you set the stage for your week, your day, whatever it is. And then you can send me questions, and I'm going to answer a number of them on this little mini podcast that I'm doing, it essentially to answer these questions and to talk about concepts. And then once a quarter, I'm going to do gallery style readings. So that means the people who are participating in the series, every single one of them gets a ticket for this. Nice. And gallery style means I'm going to try to read as many people as I can, but I certainly probably can't read every single person. But if I read somebody on this side of the screen, it probably is working exactly the same for the 3 people on the other side of the screen. So it's my way of connecting with people. It's my way of helping people interact with me so I can help them grow their intuition and enhance their life. And that's what I'm doing.
And if I can throw something in here, Jodi, and this is not solicited by you by any means, the minute we jumped on together on Zoom, you said, there's somebody here for you right now. So, I mean, it just, they're, you know, I mean, and I didn't ask you. We sat down, we were starting to talk about just
Yep.
everyday life. And you're like, oh,
Yep.
no, there's somebody here for you right now. So if anyone's
Right
worried.
up against me, your grandmother. Yep.
Yeah. So if
Right up
anyone's,
against me.
if anyone's
In a
worried.
good way.
In a good way. If anyone's worried about, well, does this whole electronic thing affect whether, spirits will come across, or if my loved one is going to come to you, or am I going to get shut out because there's so many people on Zoom or on whatever it is that you're using for a medium? No, don't worry about it.
Right. And people's deceased loved ones are around them a lot. I'm typically not. I really try hard to not, no offense to them, but I have good boundaries. And when I'm open, I'm open. And when I'm not, I'm not. But as I was kind of opening to my intuition to do this with you, your grandmother came in, which I've sensed her before when I've talked to you or seen you before.
Really?
But she's more serious than she's been to tell you that being serious is okay, especially when you're dealing with your health, that it's okay for you to be very matter of fact, very serious, and ask the questions, or just your life in general when you're dealing with setting things up to get the information, because
Really?
she doesn't want you to be a people pleaser either.
Huh. All right, Grandma. All right. There you go. You gave me something today. Okay.
I like her. I've never felt her serious energy though before like this.
Yeah.
But she's like,
she
had a message. She had a message of support for you, because she's one of the beings, she's one of the people that helps you from the other side, but it's not like she's always there. And that's the thing. Your loved ones are not always around. You don't want them to be. They've got a job and some fun to do on the other side.
Yeah.
But they can come in when you're going to be with the medium. They knew it.
Oh yeah.
They know.
Yeah.
So, right. So they have like a message, and she's got her hands in her pocket. It looks like a flowered dress or shirt. And she's like, just come close. I'm going to tell you that she's got good boundaries. She goes, I just want you to say this. And then she's like, okay, that's all I wanted.
That's her. Yep. And she was very much that way in life too. She'd deliver her message and she's done.
Interesting. Good.
And then we'll have fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a nice conversation. But no, that's her. Completely, 100%. So, yeah, interesting. All right. Well, I've got it here and here now. So,
what a good way to say that, because that is it. You can feel it in your heart and in your gut when something makes sense, and then your head too. I have this little rhyme I made up. Can I tell it to you? Well, it's not really a rhyme.
Yeah, please.
So, when I get an insight and it feels completely ridiculous, like confront your doctor, or, the person at Target Boutique gave you the wrong change and you don't want to, but you feel like, I think I'm gonna. You follow your heart, trust your gut, and use your head. So if your heart says yeah, and if your gut says yeah, you can feel it. And if your head says, yeah, that makes sense, go for it. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It just means you're meant to go for it. But you put it all through all three. It's not just about your intuition. That has helped ground me. And that is my approach in my series. That's totally my approach in my series, because this is very basic. Although there's nothing basic about metaphysics, there's always something to talk about, and it's incredibly cool. And the higher you go, the better you feel, and the happier you are, the more insightful you are. It is basic, and we are meant to have this. And things are weird right now,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of weirdness.
Yeah.
And it's been very personal to me. And so I've had to do a lot of extra, as I think a lot of us have, a lot of extra grounding and meditation and prayer and figure things out. And my intuition, once again, is next to God, is my best friend.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you about appropriate and inappropriate ways to use your intuition, because I'm sure this may come up in your series. It may not. Appropriate ways to use your intuition, inappropriate ways to use your intuition. Obviously appropriate ways. Maybe you're applying for jobs and you're sitting in a job interview. Is it appropriate to think, is this the job for me? Not the job for me? Is that an appropriate way to use it?
Yep. Be very aware of how you feel during the interview. Do you feel relaxed? Do you feel a connection? Do you feel like the answers are flowing from you and through you? And how does it just feel in general? aside from the fear, you have to know what fear feels like. So you can say, yes, I'm fearful, and that's all right. I'm a little nervous, and that's okay. And then you get more grounded and you kind of just start to feel it. So yes. But if you see the person's aura and you think that they've got some kind of a weird infection in their throat, not telling them that's not appropriate at that moment.
Okay, interesting. Appropriate or inappropriate? You're struggling financially, but you feel like you need to take a chance. You need to make some money quickly. You take half of what you've got at that particular point. You go down to the casino, figure, I gotta make some money. I think my intuition is pretty good. I'm going to go walk around and look at the slots and see which slot looks best.
No, that's not a healthy or appropriate way to use your intuition, because you're fearful because you're running out of cash, and you want it to work out. So it feels like, yeah, this could be good, but your head is probably saying absolutely not. And then you should listen to that, because that is too much of a gamble. And as I said, I don't use my intuition to gamble. And I think it's a very good question, because I think people think that they should, and it's pie in the sky. A lot of us mediums can be very pie in the sky, like we want this to happen and we want this to happen. And we feel like it can happen because we're feeling possibilities and it feels so right. And people that aren't aware of their abilities have those feelings like this feels so right. But you have to take steps to get there. The universe will offer you steps. You have to see them. So you can just take them and get there. They aren't going to drop in your lap. Sometimes things can drop in your lap. You want to be sticky for the good instead of sticky for the icky. And by that, I mean, you want to be in a good place and be grounded to know that, yeah, that feels like a really fun thing to go gamble, but I'm not taking everything I have. This is the worst time for me to gamble, but it feels right for me to go. And I'm going to take $100. I'm going to go have fun. And that's my limit. No matter how much I'm making, I'm just going to do $100 if that's what you want to do. But you really do need to roll it by, follow your heart, trust your gut, and use your head to have success with your intuition.
Okay, good. All right. Appropriate or inappropriate? You're in a relationship with someone and it's not the greatest relationship in the world. You fight quite a bit. In fact, there may be times where it gets physical. You have a blowout, but you decide, because you've got history and you might have a decent feeling that it could work out, you reach and you think, maybe one more time. I think maybe it could or couldn't work out, but I'm going to let it ride and think maybe it could.
Great question. That's where your heart wants it to work, but your gut's probably saying no and your head's probably saying no. You've given it a try. You honor the connection and you walk away. You walk away. So that's your heart. Because we think that if we're not going to be with somebody, if we're going to break up, that means we can't love them anymore. But we still can love them. They're just not good for us in our life, and we're not good for them, most likely. So I would say that's where you're really listening to your heart, your broken heart, instead of your gut. And walking away is the best thing to do. It's really tricky, and that's one of the trickiest things when you love somebody. But just relationships aren't to make us happy. They're to help us grow. But they need to be healthy to help us grow, which means there's a healthy exchange. And when verbal abuse is happening and physical abuse is happening, you're not at your best, that person's not at your best, you're not helping, you're feeding it, get out. And find out what's going on with you, what's going on in your wagon, what stuff, how much, that's not carry-on baggage, that's check-in. It needs to be checked like with a therapist, because something's going on where you're drawn to somebody that's going to hurt you. Find out why. Don't beat yourself up over it. You're not alone. Find out why and heal that part of you. And you won't be drawn to people like that anymore. And nor will they be as drawn to you.
Excellent. Okay, final one. I'm going to go more supernatural on this one. You're sitting on your porch every day and you see the same cardinal that shows up in the yard. Okay. You have a loved one that you've been thinking about over and over again. is that the loved one in the yard, or is that just the same cardinal that shows up because maybe there's worms in the yard?
That's a great question. Right. Animals bring us messages.
Okay.
Animals absolutely bring us messages. Does that mean if you smash a poor butterfly on your, as you're driving, that something bad's going to happen? No, it does not mean that. Animals carry messages, and cardinals in particular have this something about them where they're bringing a message unconsciously to say, yes, your loved one is here. Butterflies do that too. Everything can do that. But I've heard this about cardinals. There was a cardinal, I was getting some work done by a chiropractor, and there was a cardinal tapping on the door, on the window. Mm-hmm. And my really dear friend's mom was dying. And I said, I think she died. Like, I just feel it. I've been feeling it all day. Like she's crossed over. And that cardinal kept doing that. And this lovely practitioner said, that cardinal never does that, lives in our yard, but never does that. And sure enough, that person did cross over at that moment. Wow. At that moment. So animals bring us messages. Insects bring us messages. The universe speaks to us in all these beautiful ways. Numerology, there's all these ways. It's an appropriate use of your intuition to open up to feel what that message might be. Just know that messages aren't usually like doom and destruction. I mean, they can be that something's coming up. I had feelings about what's going on in the world months before this happened, but it is to help you get stronger so you can deal with what's going on in your life and have more joy.
Interesting. Okay. Because I get a lot of emails throughout the week, and it's tough to answer someone as to, well, there's a butterfly that lands, right on my lap every day. And I want to think that's my uncle,
I would say absolutely that is a message. Yeah. That is a message. And let's just say for 1 second that when an owl is hooting near you all the time, wherever you go, it's just a coincidence, which there's no such thing as, of course. Mm-hmm. What would be the harm in thinking, what could the message be? Owls represent education and wisdom in part. Mm-hmm. So where am I needing more education and wisdom? What's the harm in that? What's the harm in thinking that a butterfly that goes by is your great-grandmother saying hi? There's no harm in it. If you want to know if that is indeed the true thing, you say in your head or out loud, I'd like to see another message to show me again to make sure that this is what I think it is. And back comes that owl, back comes that butterfly, or another butterfly. So again, when you start to awaken to your intuition more and more, it's a process that never ends. You are more confident in those signs. And so again, your life becomes brighter. Still crummy things happen. You just know how to plow in and take care of it. You're more confident. That is my experience, and I'm sharing it with people because I believe it is an experience that we all can have in our own way to keep awakening to it. That's what I just was so drawn to, wanting to reach more people, because it's so beautiful to have this ability, and it's creativity. It's all singing. Whatever you do that's creative gets bigger because it's all one and the same. Mm-hmm. And why not? Why not?
I don't know if you know this or not, Jodi, but I got a Snow White situation happening in my yard. I feed the entire neighborhood. So I've got trained chipmunks. I got blue jays that come down when I wave peanuts. They come down and eat peanuts. I got the whole neighborhood eating out of certain dishes.
Man. So, that's cool. That says something about your spirit, Tim. That says something about your spirit. Animals know things. There are no words. They just know things.
They know I got free food. Beautiful. That's what they know. But I mean, they know I got free food. That's what they know.
No, they also know that you're kind. If you're thinking you make a good dinner, they'll know that. Yeah. They know that. We have deer in our backyard, and they hear our voices and they don't run. They see my dog, who's teeny, they run.
Well, that's a ferocious dog.
Yeah. This big.
That big.
He stars in my series too, Shiloh.
Oh, yeah? Oh.
So he just comes around. At one point, I was videotaping, and he decided to relieve himself. And he was in the video. So I do, and it was not a short time. I deleted it, and now I regret that I deleted it because it was so funny. It was, and I'm talking and I look up and I see it. I'm like, oh.
See, I would have kept it in.
I should have.
But just between all of us here that are watching and listening, on Tuesdays when Jessica and I are doing True Crime Tuesday, she'll put her dog on her lap, right? And I tell her, bring the dog up, because at first she was trying to keep the dog quiet and everything. I'm like, no, put the dog on your lap, and make the dog a star. I don't care, right? I think it's wonderful. So she's now gotten to the point where she's so comfortable, she's brushing the dog or whatever, and I'm just waiting. And sometimes the dog will come up and give mom kisses or whatever. And if you're watching the video feed, it's amazing. It's a wonderful thing to watch. But I'm just waiting someday for the dog to take over the mic. I'm just waiting for the dog to become a star, right? To just have that breakout moment.
She's just got such a great vibe herself.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for the day the dog has the breakout moment, right? And I can't wait for it. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. So but it's going to be one of those moments where the dog's just going to jump up on the desk and let out a 20-second piddle or something.
I bet you're right. And that everybody will think that's really supernatural funny. It'll be more natural than super.
And you know what, Jodi? I'm leaving it in when it happens.
Yeah, good. I should have.
Because that is hysterical. I'm just saying. So as we start to wrap up today, what is it that you are hoping through this system that you want people to take away from it? What is it that you're hoping that people want to take from it, and what they want to help infuse into other people's lives? Because obviously you're giving this gift to people that they're going to take and use, but what is it that they end up giving to others? Because obviously you're giving something to somebody, but as they use it, what do you hope they end up doing with it in their lives?
I hope they make it a gift for themselves by realizing that you're more insightful when you feel good, and to work on themselves so they feel good and happy inside. And then to awaken to those intuitive tugs that say, take this way home, don't take that way home, or that's not the sweater to buy for your mom. She already has one. Just feeling like, nope, that's a no. Or meeting somebody and thinking, this could be my person, and then getting a horrible feeling in your gut. So always making sure that you're around people when you meet them again, and finding out that were not okay. It's following your gut in the little teeny ways and in the big ways, and the more you acknowledge it, the bigger it gets. So I am teaching people to be more aware of what is theirs, so they have a more full and beautiful life, and to connect with those on the other side that love you, to understand that connection, to understand when you look at the clock and it's 11:11, what that means, and to be more aware of it. That's what I want. I want it to be a gift for other people, for themselves, because it is. It's an ability, and it's a gift. What you do with it is your gift back to the universe, because it's natural. But your gift is what you do with it for yourself and for the world, to make the world, corny as it sounds, to make the world a better place, to shine. Because that, to me, is a goal of life, to be a spark in the world, to be a light and to shine. And when you use your intuition, you shine. So this is my way of helping make the world a better place to everybody else that wants to make it a better place too.
That's awesome. We'll talk about that 11:11 thing off the air, because it happens all the time to me. The website, theintuitivecoach.com. We have a link in the description of this program. I want you guys to go out and go get this intuitive system. Go try it. Make your life a little bit better, because let's face it, if we're all connected to that other side, to the source, we're all making our lives a little bit better, and we're making other people's lives better. And in that, we all become a better world. And that's really what we're looking for right now, because we are a little bit of a mess right now, let's face it. So I want you guys to go out there and try Jodi's system. Jodi's an awesome person. And if you can be half as awesome as Jodi is, then I want to hang out with you. So that's the deal. So Jodi, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on Darkness Radio.
Thank you so much for having me. This was absolutely lovely. You're wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you. I want to thank Jodi Livon for being on the program today. Again, theintuitivecoach.com is the website. The brand new system, I want you to try it out, folks, for yourselves, and let me know what you think by sending me an email, tim@darknessradio.com. I myself have signed up for the system. I'll let you guys know what I think, because I'm going to try it out myself. I want to develop my intuition a little bit better. Lord knows I need to do it. I need to get my intuition a little bit sharper in my life. So I've signed up for it. I'll let you guys know what I think, and I'll let you know how my intuition has gotten sharper. I love Jodi to death. I think she is absolutely inspirational. She has done such amazing things with her life. She's gone through so much to come through the other side so that she can get this message to you. And I really think you should invest that time and listen to what it is she has to say. So check it out for yourself. And I encourage you to let me know what those results are that you get out of it, because I'm going to try it. I'll let you know what results I get out of it. So there you go. Boy, we're coming up on the weekend. You know, I had such a great weekend last weekend. Again, I want to congratulate my nephew Tyler and Maya on their nuptials. They went on their honeymoon. They're on their way back as we speak. It was a short honeymoon. I think they both had work commitments, which is sad to say that couples these days can't take a full week for a honeymoon, but they're on their way back, and they've been together for quite a while, though. They've been together since they were in high school. So, yeah, and they're in their 20s now. So, I mean, and that doesn't mean they should have a shorter honeymoon by any means, but it just means that, you know, they went to the Dells, and let's face it, the Dells in the off season, there's not a lot to do. I know what you're saying, folks. They're grown adults. There's plenty for them to do. I don't want a great nephew or niece yet. I'm not ready for that. So let's just say a short vacation is good. Plus, they have a dog at home waiting for him. So, you know, they needed to get back as soon as possible. They already have a kid, right? So there you go. They needed to get back as soon as possible. I digress. But we're coming up on the weekend, and here in Minnesota, it's going to be a weird weekend. Like one day 80, the next day 65. We've had this weather all week long, and I don't know. You get kind of a crapshoot. One day it's hot, the next day it's cool, the next day it's hot, the next day it's cool. I know it's throwing off the chippers. The chippers are having a tough time with this. One day we're out in the yard, we're having a good day. The next day we're hunkered down in the dens. So I don't know. I can't tell you whether it's going to be a rough winter or a warm winter. You know, according to the Farmer's Almanac, they think it's going to be a rough winter. It's going to be a cold winter. I can tell you by watching the chippers, I think it's going to be a rough winter as well. I don't see them gathering as much food as you would think. You know, last winter we had a mild winter, and they were gathering food like it was going out of style, mainly because they were going to be up for most of the winter. They weren't going to be in deep sleep. I don't see them gathering as much food, which makes me wonder if they're going to be hibernating more than they are going to be awake. So that makes me think that we're all going to be freezing our arses off for this winter. So I hate to say that, but I think that's the case. So the heating bills might be a little high. So there you go. But this weekend I am looking forward to, because things will be a little quieter this weekend, although I did have a blast at that wedding. I'll tell you, that was probably the most fun wedding I've been to ever. And it's not just because it was family, but it was such a party atmosphere, and it was at a wedding complex, and it was just a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun. It was a tailor-made, custom-made type wedding for having fun, for just letting loose and having a good time. Everything from a sparkler serenade type deal for the couple, or a sparkler promenade where they could, you know, just kind of be serenaded with sparklers, to a really fun dance, to with these strobe I don't know, they're like strobe toys or whatever that everybody got. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It was just lots of knickknacks and fun effects, I guess. So I guess that makes things better. Yeah. So it was a good time. I can't rave about it enough. Kind of sounds like a rave, doesn't it? A little bit. But yeah. And good food. Oh my gosh, good food. Wow. And I was told this is like a trend now that not only do you get dinner, but now they're serving pizza later on in the night. So the group that catered, by the way, I think it's 201 Pizzeria out of the South Metro here in Minneapolis. They not only did the wedding dinner, but then, and boy, do they make good pizza. Oh my goodness. But they also serve towards the end of the night, because everything wrapped up at 11, like right around 9:30, as the wedding dance is going on, they start breaking out the pizza. So if you've maybe had a little alcohol in your stomach and you need something to sop up the alcohol, they've got pizza for you. And it's, oh my God, it's so delicious. It's so wonderful. And it's not oven, but wood fire baked pizza, which is amazing. And they do it so perfect too. It's so good. Oh my God. So I know I'm probably making you hungry right now, but so, I mean, it was just, that was the other thing that was absolutely perfect. So you top off the night with, carbo loading, which you got to love that too. Carbo loading on top of your alcohol. So, or if you're teetotaling, carbo loading on top of your Coke or your juice or whatever it is you're drinking. So, I mean, it was like I said, it was perfect. So you end the night with a little pizza. You got to love that. And then heading back to your room. So, like I said, great night. It was a great night. Great party. Great way to send the kids off. So, there you go. So, that does it for this week. Again, check out darknessradioshow.com in the store there. I encourage you to do that. Daddy needs to refill the coffers, so to speak. But we've got some great new stuff there as well for the Halloween season. You've got lots of movie monster stuff in there to celebrate the Halloween season. Everything from plush toys to figurines to movie signs, metal signs, to even a canvas sign of Jason. So there's lots of good stuff in there. Be sure to check out darknessradioshow.com, the store there. Let's see, what else? Boy, we have good shows coming up here in October. That's all I can say. I can't tell you who, but we've got good shows coming up. I encourage you to just stay tuned, and we'll unveil them as they come along. And if you have a guest suggestion, tim@darknessradio.com. If there's someone you want to hear here on the show, or there's a guest floating around out there that you'd like to hear interviewed on this show, hit me up, tim@darknessradio.com. And again, I encourage you to be a light in someone's darkness this weekend. We're coming up on the Halloween season, and a lot of haunted houses are opening up right now. Maybe there's someone who doesn't get around, doesn't have a car, but would like to get to some of these fall events. We've got, you've got hay rides and stuff like that. And you've got a lot of fall activities that are happening. And maybe somebody who would like to get to some of these fall activities, but they don't have anyone to go with, or they don't have a way to get there. Take them out, show them a good time, and be that good friend that helps them get out and enjoy life. Because we all need a little break, a little getaway every once in a while. So check on that friend, that neighbor, that person, that elderly person who would like to get out and enjoy life. So make that your mission this weekend. See if there's somebody out there that would like a little fall getaway this weekend. So there you go. That'll do it for this week. For Mally Fox, for Jessica Freeberg, for Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for spending your precious time with us this week and enjoying your time with us. We've enjoyed our time as well. We'll see you next week for the best in true crime and paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio.